There is nothing worse than taking a pill, looking at the clock, and just waiting. You're sitting there wondering, is it working yet? Did I miss the window? Is something wrong with me? That anxiety alone is enough to kill the mood completely before anything even happens. If you are here, it's because you want that reaction time to be shorter. You want the confidence of knowing that when the moment is right, your body is ready to go immediately without the lag time. But here is the hard truth. Tadalafil is not a magic switch that you simply flip on. It is a tool, and like any high-performance tool, if you use it incorrectly, it simply won't work the way it was designed to. Most men are taking this medication with the wrong engine settings. They are inadvertently neutralizing its potency before it even hits their bloodstream. Today, we are going to stop the guessing game. I'm going to walk you through a specific optimization protocol, the science of maximizing potency. We aren't just talking about taking a pill. We are talking about bioavailability, precise timing, and the biological triggers required to make your physical reaction significantly faster. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to take control of the process, including one specific, counterintuitive timing adjustment that changes everything about how this medication performs. Let's clear the air about the magic pill myth right now. Pop culture has done a terrible job of explaining how ED medications actually work. You see it in movies. A guy swallows a tablet, and minutes later, he has an uncontrollable erection that happens automatically. That is simply not how this biology works. If you expect Tadalafil to act like an injection, where the erection happens regardless of what you are thinking, feeling, or doing, you are setting yourself up for frustration. This medication does not create desire. It does not create the erection for you. It simply clears the pathway for one to happen. Think of it as setting the stage, not performing the play. This distinction is critical because clinical observations show that nearly 50% of men who claim the medication didn't work actually experienced a failure of protocol, not a failure of pharmacology. They took the medication and then waited for the erection to happen to them, rather than engaging in the stimulation required to activate it. When you sit around monitoring your body, waiting for a physical sign that the drug is active, you are actually creating a feedback loop of anxiety that counteracts the drug. You need to understand that this compound provides the possibility of an erection, but your brain and physical touch provide the instruction. Without that instruction, the medication remains dormant in your system. It is a silent partner. It is ready to support you, but it cannot lead the dance. If you don't initiate, nothing happens. Understanding that you are still the driver is the first step to getting that faster reaction you are looking for. To really master this and get that faster reaction, we need to look briefly under the hood. I promise to keep the science simple, but this specific piece of knowledge is what separates the men who get results from the men who get frustrated. Think of your erection system like a car. To move forward, you need to press the gas pedal. In your body, that gas is a chemical called nitric oxide. When you are mentally aroused or physically stimulated, your nerves release nitric oxide, which tells the blood vessels in the penis to relax, open up, and fill with blood. That is the acceleration. However, your body also has a built-in parking brake. This is an enzyme called PDE5. Its natural job is to degrade that chemical signal and make the erection go away, ensuring the process reverses eventually. For many men, that parking brake is either stuck on too tight or it kicks in way too early, killing the momentum before you can get going. Here is exactly what Tadalafil does. It is a PDE5 inhibitor. It essentially cuts the cable to the parking brake. It prevents your body from chemically suppressing the erection. But here is the critical realization. Tadalafil only deals with the brake. It does absolutely nothing to the gas pedal. If you take the pill, you have successfully removed the parking brake. But if you sit there stressing, or if you aren't engaging in foreplay, you are not pressing the gas. A car with no parking brake does not move forward on its own. You still have to press the accelerator. You need the nitric oxide, which comes exclusively from your arousal and physical stimulation, to get the vehicle moving. The medication makes it infinitely easier for the car to roll once you press the gas, but it cannot start the engine for you. Once you accept that this is a partnership between your biology and the chemistry, you stop waiting for a miracle and start driving the car. You can take the medication and you can have the desire, but there are 3 specific things men do that act like a chemical override switch, shutting down the entire process. If you want that faster reaction promised on the thumbnail, you have to eliminate these variables. The first killer is what I call the food coma. There is a common misunderstanding here because Tadalafil is often marketed as the pill you can take with food, unlike other ED medications that strictly require an empty stomach. While it is true that Tadalafil is more forgiving, it is not invincible. If you consume a high-fat meal, a heavy steak, fried foods, or a rich dessert right before or after taking the medication, you are coating your stomach lining. This delays the absorption of the drug into your bloodstream. Instead of reacting in 45 minutes, it might take 3 hours. If you want reliability and speed, you want a relatively light stomach. Do not force the medication to fight through a 4-course meal to get to your system. The second killer is the alcohol trap. We often use alcohol as liquid courage to lower inhibition, which seems like it should help. But biologically, alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. Remember, we need your nervous system to send that gas pedal signal to the penis. If you numb the nerves with too much alcohol, the signal never gets sent. Furthermore, alcohol effectively constricts blood flow over time, working in direct opposition to what the medication is trying to do. A glass of wine might relax you, but heavy drinking puts the brakes right back on. The third, and perhaps most lethal killer, is adrenaline. This is directly tied to performance anxiety. Biologically, an erection is a parasympathetic event. It happens when you are relaxed. Adrenaline is a sympathetic event. It happens when you are in fight or flight mode. Adrenaline is a potent vasoconstrictor. It forces blood vessels to clamp down to send blood to your muscles for survival. If you are worried, stressing about whether you will get hard, or spectatoring, which means you are watching yourself perform rather than being in the moment, you are flooding your body with adrenaline. Adrenaline acts as a chemical antidote to Tadalafil. It doesn't matter how much medication you take. If your adrenaline is high enough, it will override the drug every single time. To get a faster reaction, you have to get out of your head and into your body. Now we arrive at the core of this video, the optimization protocol. This is your instruction manual. If you have been taking the medication blindly, hoping for the best, this is where we change your strategy to ensure that faster reaction we talked about. First, we need to talk about the 2 distinct ways to use this tool, the on-demand strategy and the daily strategy. Understanding which one you are using and why is the first step. If you are using the on-demand method, typically the 10 milligrams or 20 milligrams versions, timing is your absolute most critical variable. And this is where almost everyone gets it wrong because they follow the label too literally. The label will tell you that you can take it 30 minutes before activity. While that is technically true, it starts to enter your system in 30 minutes. It is not when the medication is at its most powerful. Here is the secret to maximizing potency. You need to time your intake with what we call peak plasma concentration. Pharmacokinetic data shows that for most men, Tadalafil reaches its absolute maximum concentration in the blood roughly 2 hours after ingestion. If you take the pill at 7:30 p.m. for an 8 p.m. encounter, your body is still digesting and processing the medication while you are trying to perform. You are trying to drive the car while you are still pouring the gas in. The result? A delayed reaction. You might find that you get your best erection at midnight or the next morning, long after the moment has passed. To fix this, you need to shift your timing back. If you anticipate intimacy at 8 p.m., take the medication at 5 o'clock or 6 p.m. By the time you are ready to engage, the drug has already hit its peak levels in your bloodstream. It is fully integrated and waiting for you. This simple shift eliminates that awkward waiting period and allows for that immediate, fast reaction because the biological support is already maxed out. Now let's talk about the daily strategy, typically 2.5 milligrams or 5 milligrams. This is often superior for spontaneity, but it requires patience. We call this the loading phase. Because the dose is low, one pill doesn't do much on its own. Tadalafil has a long half-life, about 17.5 hours. This means that when you take your second dose the next day, you still have some left over from the first day. You are stacking the medication in your system. It takes approximately 5 days of consistent use to reach what we call steady state. This is where the levels in your blood stabilize and stay constant 24/7. If you start the daily protocol, do not judge the results on day 1 or day 2. You have to trust the process and wait for day 5. Once you hit steady state, you are technically ready all the time, removing the need to time a pill perfectly effectively. Regardless of which schedule you are on, we have to address hydration. It sounds basic, but it is physiological. Erections are a hydraulic event. They require blood volume. Tadalafil can slightly lower your blood pressure and has a mild diuretic effect. If you are dehydrated, your blood volume drops and your blood becomes more viscous. You are asking your heart to pump sludge through a relaxed vessel. It's inefficient. When you take your protocol, drink a large glass of water, roughly 12 to 16 ounces. Continue to hydrate throughout the day. Proper hydration ensures that when the vessels open, there is enough fluid volume to fill them firmly and quickly. Finally, we have the stimulation bridge. This is the behavioral part of the protocol. As we established, the pill removes the brake, but you must press the gas. The protocol requires that you change your approach to intimacy. Do not wait for an erection to start sex. That is a rookie mistake. Instead, use the bridge method. Engage in foreplay, kissing, touching, manual stimulation, with the specific intent of pressing the gas pedal, trusting that the brake has been removed. When you stop checking for the erection and start engaging in the sensation, the feedback loop corrects itself. Because you have timed the peak plasma correctly, and because you are hydrated, the moment your brain registers the pleasure, the physical reaction will follow almost instantly. That is how you maximize potency. You prepare the body chemically hours in advance so that physically, you can just be in the moment. We have covered the timing and the mechanics, but if you want to turn a good reaction into a great reaction, we have to look at the system as a whole. You can put the highest octane fuel additive in your car, but if the tires are flat and the engine hasn't been tuned, you still aren't going to win the race. Tadalafil is a force multiplier, but it needs something to multiply. This is where synergy comes in. We talked about nitric oxide being the gas. Tadalafil helps you keep nitric oxide around longer, but it does not produce it. If your body isn't producing enough nitric oxide to begin with, the medication has nothing to work with. It's like trying to save money when you have no income. To biohack this, you want to increase your raw intake of dietary nitrates. This is your rocket fuel. Foods like beets, arugula, and spinach are powerhouses for this. If you aren't eating them, consider supplementation with L-citrulline. Unlike L-arginine, which is often destroyed in the gut, L-citrulline converts to arginine in the kidneys and significantly boosts your body's natural nitric oxide production. When you combine a high nitric oxide baseline with Tadalafil's ability to prevent its breakdown, you are creating a perfect storm for potency. Speaking of creating that perfect storm, this is where most men get stuck. They just can't eat enough beets or spinach every day to get that massive surge of gas their body needs. If you want to skip the diet hassle and go straight to the root cause, there is a specific, natural purple hardening tonic that you can make at home in just 7 seconds. It's designed to not only flood your system with that rocket fuel, but also naturally scrub away the toxic buildup in your arteries that kills your erection quality in the first place. I found a short presentation that explains exactly how this simple morning ritual works to restore rock-hard firmness without upping your dosage. Scan the QR code you see on the screen right now with your phone camera to watch that video. I've also pinned the link to the top of the comments section below. If you are serious about fixing the plumbing rather than just masking the problem, you need to see this. Now, alongside that chemical boost, we cannot ignore sleep. Next, we cannot ignore sleep. I know you've heard it a million times, but in this context, it is non-negotiable. Most of your testosterone is produced during REM sleep. If you are getting 6 hours of fragmented sleep, your testosterone takes a nosedive and your cortisol, the stress hormone, spikes. Cortisol is a vasoconstrictor. It clamps blood vessels shut. If you are sleep deprived, you are fighting your own biology. You are asking a pill to overcome a hormonal environment that is actively working against your erection. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep is often more effective than doubling your dosage. Finally, there is a physical component that almost no one talks about: the pelvic floor. Because we sit in chairs, cars, and on couches all day, many men develop a chronically tight, hypertonic pelvic floor. These muscles surround the base of the penis. If they are permanently clenched and tight, they can physically restrict blood flow, acting like a tourniquet. You might be taking the medication correctly, but if those muscles are strangling the blood supply, the blood can't get in fast enough. Basic pelvic floor stretches, or reverse Kegels, where you focus on relaxing and dropping the pelvic floor rather than clenching it, can physically unclog the plumbing. When you relax that tension, you remove the physical resistance, allowing the chemical assistance of the medication to work unimpeded. We have to talk about the side effects because, let's be honest, it is very difficult to enjoy intimacy if you have a pounding headache, severe heartburn, or a nose so stuffy you can't breathe. If you feel physically awful, your libido will shut down, rendering the medication useless regardless of how well it works chemically. Because Tadalafil is a systemic vasodilator, it opens blood vessels everywhere, not just where you want it to. That cranial pressure or the flushing in your face is just evidence that the drug is in your system. To maximize your performance, you need to manage these downsides proactively. The first line of defense, again, is hydration. Many of the headaches are exacerbated by the mild dehydration the drug causes. Drink water before you take it. If you suffer from acid reflux, a common side effect because the drug relaxes the esophageal sphincter, avoid combining it with spicy foods or lying down flat immediately after eating. But here is the best hack for those on the daily protocol. If you find the side effects distracting during the day, switch your intake to nighttime, right before bed. Since the peak concentration hits in about 2 hours, you will effectively sleep through the worst of the side effects, the flushing and the headache peak, and wake up with the medication at a steady, effective level in your blood. This allows you to get the benefits during the day without the distraction of the side effects. So, here's the bottom line. Tadalafil is not a magic wand. It is a high-performance fuel additive. To get that faster reaction, you must respect the protocol. Keep your stomach light, watch the alcohol intake, and most importantly, master your timing. Give the medication the 2-hour head start it needs to reach peak levels before you need it. Stop waiting for the erection to happen to you and start engaging with your partner to make it happen. Remember, this medication is just a tool. You are still the machine. It works best when you are healthy, rested, and mentally present. Now, we mentioned earlier that Tadalafil preserves nitric oxide, but it doesn't create it. If you want to double down on your results, you need to maximize your body's natural production of that gas. I have a complete breakdown on exactly how to boost your nitric oxide levels naturally to work alongside this protocol in this video right here. Click that, and I'll see you there.